My name is Eleanor Price. I'm 71 years old. And I'm only just now realizing that what I spent most of my life calling peace was really just the absence of truth. I live alone in a small apartment with a view of the parking lot. The kind where you can see who comes home late and who never comes home at all. I sit at the kitchen table most mornings with my coffee going cold, listening to the refrigerator hum like it's trying to remind me that time is still moving, whether I want it to or not. I'm not telling this because I need forgiveness. I'm past that. I'm telling it because I don't have much time left to keep quiet, and because silence has already taken enough from me. At 71, you don't think in decades anymore. You think in seasons. In whether your knees will hold up through another winter. In which friends' names you haven't heard mentioned in a while. You notice how often the mail is just advertisements and medical bills. You notice how quiet your phone has become. I used to think that quiet meant I'd done something right. For a long time, my life looked calm from the outside. Steady job. Clean house. No scandals. No shouting matches. No dramatic exits. People used words like balanced and grounded when they talked about me. I wore those words like a badge. But calm isn't the same thing as honesty. And quiet isn't the same thing as peace. I didn't know that then. When I was younger, in my 20s and 30s, I thought life was something you managed. Like a household budget or a schedule. You made careful choices. You avoided unnecessary conflict. You kept things running smoothly. I believed that if no one was upset, then everything must be fine. I grew up in a house where feelings were treated like messes. Something to clean up quickly before guests arrived. My mother believed in keeping things nice. My father believed in keeping things moving. There was no room for lingering questions or unresolved hurts. You learned early not to rock the boat. So when I got married at 24 to a man named Thomas, I thought I was doing exactly what I was supposed to do. He was kind enough. Responsible. He had a steady job at the utilities company. He didn't drink too much. He didn't raise his voice. We weren't in love the way you see in movies, but we cared for each other. That felt like enough. I told myself that love was something that settled, not something that burned. That wanting more was childish. That contentment was the grown-up choice. Thomas and I built a life that functioned. We bought a modest house. We had 2 children, a boy and a girl. We attended school events, paid our taxes, hosted Thanksgiving without incident. From the outside, it looked like a success. Inside, there were questions I never asked. Words I swallowed so often they became part of me. I learned how to smile through conversations that felt hollow. How to change the subject when something important started to surface. It didn't feel like sacrifice at the time. It felt like maturity. I worked as a bookkeeper for a small manufacturing company. The work was precise and predictable. I liked that. Numbers behaved themselves. They added up the same way every time. There was comfort in that. My days followed a rhythm. Wake up. Make lunches. Go to work. Come home. Make dinner. Watch the news. Go to bed. Years passed without much to mark them. Sometimes, late at night, I would lie awake and feel a sort of restlessness. Not dramatic. Just a sense that something was missing. I couldn't have told you what it was. So I told myself it was normal. Everyone felt that way sometimes. It would pass. And it usually did. The cost didn't arrive all at once. It came quietly, in small moments that didn't seem important enough to stop the machine. I missed my daughter's school play because I stayed late to finish a report. I told myself she'd understand. She said she did, but she stopped inviting me to things after that. I brushed off a difficult conversation with my son because I was tired and didn't want to make a big deal out of it. He learned not to come to me with things that mattered. Thomas and I stopped talking about anything beyond logistics. Groceries, repairs, schedules. We became very good at managing a household together. We stopped being curious about each other. I told myself this was what long marriages looked like. Comfortable, quiet, predictable. People complimented us. "You two never fight," they said. They didn't see that we also never really spoke. I avoided conflict like it was something contagious. If there was tension, I smoothed it over. If there was unhappiness, I reframed it. If there was truth that might upset someone, I buried it. I thought I was being kind. What I didn't understand was that by doing that, I was slowly disappearing from my own life. There were moments when the truth tried to surface. A comment from a friend about how distant I seemed. A question from my daughter about why I never talked about my feelings. A long silence from Thomas at the dinner table that felt heavier than any argument. Each time, I chose not to look too closely. I assumed there would be time later. A better moment. A calmer season. Later became a habit. The turning point didn't come with fireworks. It came with a phone call on a Tuesday afternoon. Thomas had collapsed at work. A heart attack. He didn't make it. I remember standing in the hospital hallway, staring at the floor tiles, trying to understand how the world could keep moving when mine had just stopped. In the weeks after his death, people brought casseroles and said kind things. They told me how strong I was, how well I was handling it. I nodded and thanked them. At night, alone in the house we'd shared for 45 years, I started to feel something else. Not just grief. Something sharper. Regret. Not about loving him. Not exactly. But about all the things we never said. The questions we never asked. The ways we settled for coexistence instead of connection. I realized I didn't actually know him as well as I thought. And he hadn't known me either. That understanding didn't come all at once. It arrived slowly, in the quiet moments. In finding old notes he'd written about things that worried him, things he never told me. In realizing how little of myself I had ever offered in return. The truth didn't bring relief. It brought weight. After Thomas died, the structure of my life fell away. No one needed dinner at 6. No one noticed if I came home late or early. The routines that had once felt safe now felt empty. My children had their own lives by then. Jobs, families, responsibilities. They checked in, but from a distance. I couldn't blame them. I taught them how. The loneliness wasn't dramatic. It was steady, a low hum beneath everything. That's when I started to understand what peace actually was. And what it wasn't. Peace isn't the absence of noise. It isn't the lack of disagreement. It isn't keeping everything smooth on the surface. Peace requires truth. And I had spent my life avoiding it. There are things now that can't be fixed. I can't go back and ask Thomas who he was when he was afraid. I can't reclaim the years when my children needed a mother who was fully present, not just reliable. I can't undo the habit of silence I built so carefully. I can try now. And I do. I speak more honestly with my children. I tell them when I miss them, when I'm afraid, when I don't understand something. But there's a difference between repair and recovery. Some things heal. Others just ache less with time. I don't expect to be remembered the way I once imagined. There won't be speeches or long stories told about me. I'll be a photograph on a shelf, a name mentioned occasionally. That used to frighten me. Now it feels honest. If I'm speaking to you, it's not to warn you or instruct you. I don't believe in that anymore. I can only tell you what I wish I had understood sooner. Silence isn't safety. Avoiding discomfort doesn't protect relationships. It starves them. The things we don't say don't disappear. They wait, and they collect interest. If you're young, or even middle-aged, you probably think you have time. I did too. I thought time was generous, that it would slow down when it mattered. It doesn't. I don't regret my life entirely. There were good days, laughter, small joys. I'm grateful for those. But I regret the way I confused calm with fulfillment. The way I chose ease over honesty, again and again, until honesty felt unfamiliar. If this means something to you, you don't need to do anything about it right away. Just notice where you're quiet, where you're waiting, where you're telling yourself later. Later is not a promise. I don't have many years left. I feel that now, in my bones. I don't say that with drama, just awareness. I spend my days more slowly. I speak more carefully. I let the truth come out, even when it shakes my voice. It doesn't bring peace exactly, but it brings something closer to it. And that's enough for what time I have left.